the various different perspectives of how that conception of physics has so many people talking so many different things about it. So we learn all these, we digest all these, and after that, we open the textbook. Actually, we write a thesis on what we understood. And after finishing all these, then we open our textbook. By then, the textbook will already seem redundant. This is the way we study. So the inner space is not even affected with the forced logic of someone. It's like, see, a particular lock has a particular key. You can't try to force another key into it. It's never going to work. That level, this is the way the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism teaches us the peace by training us to study in all these different manners.
Actually, that was the question I wanted to ask Mr. Richard Kaplan. So, sir, as the Dean of Arts and Culture at the Walla Walla Community College, exactly how do you see the revival of the Vedic education system, the Gurukul, is necessary for a peaceful and stable and prosperous society?
Thank you. I'm so glad that your question was preceded by that beautiful explanation of the Gurukul education system, which sadly I have to contrast with some of my experience. So let's see, about 6 years ago, I was attending a conference at Northern Virginia Community College, and it was for college educators all across the country, teaching us how to teach peace building and conflict resolution to our students. And the presenter was a gentleman named Coleman McCarthy, who is quite renowned in the Washington, D.C. area for having instilled the teaching of peace. So there were about 60 of us participants, education, high school education, that taught you algebra or mathematics. Everyone raised their hand. Then he said, how many of you had a class that taught peace building or conflict resolution? Not one single person raised their hand. And he said, what does that show you about the values that we're teaching? And if we really valued peace building and conflict resolution, wouldn't we be teaching people how to do that? And just as we wouldn't expect somebody who'd never been taught mathematics to perform calculus, taught how to resolve conflict to be able to do it. Why would we expect people who haven't learned the techniques of peace building to be able to do it? And so now what you have in the United States is an increasing recognition of this. And this is why I think it is the perfect moment for these principles that were just so beautifully described to us about instilling this from the beginning. So there are now more than 275 colleges and universities in the United States with peace studies programs and others with related things like genocide studies, social justice, human rights programs. There are about 85 colleges and universities that are granting bachelor's degrees or majors in peace studies, more than 50 with master's degrees, 13 with Juris Doctor or law degrees, several with doctorates in peace studies. So these are helping people learn these principles and how to inculcate them. And it seems to me that this is the perfect moment for the Vedic education trend in higher education now in the United States that's called culturally responsive teaching, or sometimes culturally relevant teaching, CRT for short. This marks a major change in education from an older model, which could be caricatured or oversimplified as the professor as the sage who knows everything and the students as empty vessels who need to be filled with knowledge and who bring nothing themselves. The principle of culturally responsive teaching is that we acknowledge and we honor and we respect the life experiences, the perspective, the prior knowledge that students bring from their own lives. And we honor them as individuals and we welcome that experience into the classroom. Mathematics curriculum in which all of the instructors have been steeped in principles of culturally responsive teaching and learning cultural humility so that they can recognize and welcome the humanity of each individual in their classes. So I think that we have a great moment here in terms of having laid the groundwork for building on it with these principles of the Guruku that we just heard so beautifully explained. Thank you.
Yes, and I think it's wonderful to see that how the cosmic principles of Hinduism are already being implemented, like how you were saying in the schools. So this is very nice to hear, and it's very wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Richard, for your sharing.
And thank you so much, sir, Dr. Richard, for sharing, because like you said beautifully, the modern Macaulay education system, like the example that you had quoted about the mathematics and trigonometry being taught versus, the conflict resolution and the science of how to create peace is not being taught to kids, because the modern Macaulay education system uniform with same coats, suits and boots, but unfortunately not cherishing the unique quality of each and every being, what that being is capable for. Like one of the biggest click that I have ever had, because since the age of 12, I've been raised in the Nithyananda Gurukul, having been blessed and to have the Vedic education directly groomed by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. So now when I look at the modern schools, right, there are schools for arts, there are schools for mathematics, there are each school, business schools, each school is for a particular purpose, where all the children are fit into one template. Each of all the children from different walks of life, where a child who's interested in music, a child who's interested in art, a child who's interested in dance, a child who's interested in science, all of them are taught the same syllabus, same curriculum, forcefully fit into one same template. By the time that child completes the high school, it loses it. But if you see in Vedic schools, in Gurukuls, any universities, all the great universities like Nalanda, Takshashila that existed thousands of years before, one same Gurukul, like I would like to quote an example from the Hindu scripture of Mahabharata, where all the princes and everybody are sent to one same Guru, one same Gurukul, one same school. And one same school was able to produce the world's best archer, Arjuna, the world's best astrologer, Sahadeva, and it was able to produce the men who could wield the maces and fight with maces so beautifully, like Duryodhana and Bhima. One same school could produce people who are unique and who excelled in their unique capabilities. In today, what Swamiji has revived as Nithyananda Gurukul, one same school, it is just, but each of our passion, each of our unique ability, what we will have the capabilities to excel in, is beautifully studied, nurtured, nourished, and we are empowered to lead in that. Whether a child
wants to do temple construction, he is empowered to focus on that perspective. Whether a child is passionate to do arts, designing, he is empowered and focused in that perspective. Whether a child wants to do website designing, that child is nourished and nurtured in that aspect. Whether a child is interested in social media, how they can enrich and reach these sciences and profound teachings to the humanity, they are nurtured in that perspective. Every child's unique perspective is studied, and we are supported, nourished, and nurtured and empowered to excel in that. This teaches us the fundamental principle that there is no template for what is called the perfect man that exists. There is no need of uniformity, there's no need of coats, boots, and suits that needs to be fit into every man. And this teaches us to respect each and every one as a unique consciousness, where each and every one of us are excelling and expressing our best capabilities, or the ultimate, the Paramashiva oneness, whatever we call it, in the best way by manifesting those unique dimensions. And actually, thank you so much for sharing this, Mr. Dr. Richard, because this puts me into the space of immense gratitude for what a life I have been given by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, because I was taught at a young age that there is no template to fit in, and I was taught to respect and revere each being as consciousness, individual and unique. So thank you so much, sir.
Well, thank you for your insightful comment. It reminds me of two things. One is a statement by Busan, Bhusan. Teachers, you do not teach a subject, you teach a child. And I always try to remember that as an educator. We're not just inputting content, we are teaching a person. And even for those of us who teach adults, we're still trying to reach the child inside each of those adults. And as teachers, we need to remember that, remember the child inside ourselves. I also love your point about the individual and the education system acknowledging the individual, which for me connects with the earlier point that peace building starts inside each individual, that one must have inner peace before one can radiate peace out to one's family, one's community, one's nation, and the world. And so we have, as Mr. Pitts described, a society right now, questions of the state of individuals and the ability to spread peace, and what you just talked about as intimately connected. And so an education that fosters the uniqueness of the individual, as you described, can then enhance that individual's ability to attain inner peace and thereby to emanate that peace outward to their family, their community, their nation, and the world. So thank you for that beautiful exposition of my answer.
Thank you so much. So Mr. John Pitts, we have another question for you. So we have shared about the way that the Vedic society, Hindu society was organized, the Varnashrama Dharma, which is basically the organization of the society in the 4 different groups, and which had very distinct responsibilities to ensure the decentralization of power that was always maintained. And so Mr. Pitts, as a priest and as one of Texas' top-rated lawyers and lobbyists, in what ways do you see the revival of the Varnashrama Dharma lifestyle fostering social harmony and peaceful coexistence amongst peoples of all religions, race, gender, and humanity at large?
I was growing up, a very popular game was king of the mountain. I don't know why, but it seemed like many people had piles of dirt in their backyard, and the other people surrounding the mountain of dirt would attempt to push that person off of the mountain of dirt. So that person would become, the new person would become king of the mountain. Think about that. Think about what that was teaching the children playing that game. Power. They were teaching power. They were teaching ambition. Ambition to be the king of the mountain. I was playing that game at 5 years old. I was learning about power at 5 years old. I was learning about to want to have that power at 5 years old. I was learning about ambition at 5 years old. That ambition was continued in my learning as I went to best law firm, to have the best clerkship with a court, as I went to seminary, to have the best experience when I got out in a large congregation, large church. So power becomes ingrained into us from a very early age. How do we give up that power? We heard a while ago about the education system. It's very different from the education system that I grew up in. However, you talked about that you had prayer at the beginning of your classes. And we've done away with prayer at the beginning of our classes in the United States. I grew up, however, in an education system that we did have that prayer, and it did bring about more focus in how we had that class. It's too bad that we've done away with that. I am thinking that it sounded like how your education system is arranged, and we have some of this. But I'm tomorrow meeting with the organization Texas Star Alliance, the organization that I founded and lead as a managing principal. I'm reorganizing it, and I'm reorganizing it in somewhat of the same deal, to fusing the power so it will be into two different people, not four, but two different people, pulling on their talents and how they can use their talents, their inner talents, to bring about a better harmony. And because of the fact that they will use better organization of the firm. So if we could do that, get away from the need to have the power to be king of the mountain, I believe that if we could start that at an early age, I think that we can bring about a better structure. We must have that inner peace age. So I'm not sure how it'll work.
Actually, it's a very powerful point, because at a very young age, we need that peace to be developed. That's a very important point, I would say, because that's what Swamiji has been training us. So we are the Gurukul kids who have been trained from a very young age into peace-based powerfulness. How power should be peace-based. Peace-based powerfulness need to develop inside of us. And whatever age you are, Swamiji says, a human being is not a finished product. You are a seed. At any point, you are a seed. Any age you might be, you have the possibility to grow. You are not a finished product that's packed and shelved. You are a seed. that's budding to grow. You have this says, see, we worship Paramashiva, the ultimate pure consciousness. We never too late to fall with Paramashiva. Whatever age you might be, whatever point you might be in, is changeable.
Mhm.
The inner construct that we have is changeable. So just we starting to, like the work that both of you, like both Mr. Dr. Richard and Mr. John Pitts, both of you have done, and the experience that you are, the plethora of experience that each of you are talking from is so insightful that I'm able to understand and cognize what Swamiji was revealing in a much deeper level. Because like as we are growing up in the Gurukul, the negativity or anger, I would just like to quote one example. When we say vibrant peace, one important component it has is thorns. All of us know rose plant generally has thorns. And why do rose plants have thorns? To protect themselves, for them to feel secure. Now, what if we give a space that is so non-violent and so secure that even rose plant can drop its thorns? That is the science Swamiji has taught us, and we have manifested that already. We have a garden with hundreds of rose plants, not genetically modified. There are hundreds of rose plants with zero thorns. They don't grow up like that. They are there with thorns. We buy the rose plants with most number of thorns. We get them. I have a rose plant too. So the science that Swamiji has taught us is bring the inner peace. It will manifest outside as outer peace. Ahimsa paramo dharmaha. Ahimsa, non-violence, is the greatest principle. So Swamiji has taught us that when you bring that non-violence inside you, you just go sit near the rose plant. Plants are beings. They very well communicate with us. They very well take in our space and reflect back based on our inner space. So we just go sit in that absolute paramashanta, absolute vibrant, alive peace inside us. We go and tell the rose plant. We say the experiences we have with Swamiji. I go and share what are the profound revelations that Swamiji has given. And the rose plant responds to it by shedding its thorns. See, if you pluck the thorns, if anybody plucks away the thorns, there will be a wound on the plant. You will see a black mark on the plant. But if the rose plant drops it,
all of what Ma Tattvapriya was just sharing about the rose plant, we have a proper scientifically like foolproof recorded system through which we have photographed, because the whole of Gurukul, all the hundreds of children in Gurukul are given this as our first examination. We are taught this is a first test that we do, where we are given a rose plant each with thorns, and if we have a proper way of recording, measuring, where we do not touch the plant, meaning we do not pull out the thorns, we do not break the thorns, we do not touch the plant. In fact, only with that building that inner peace, we manifest the outer peace. And what she is saying is clearly recorded. We have all recorded, video recorded, and we have it properly tracked. And even we had few scientists and few like professors who had come and measured the whole thing. They verified the whole thing, and it's an authentic science which we practice.
Actually, when I got my first rose plant, we got the rose plant and I was talking to it. I think for almost a week, I had like smaller kids, the children that are much younger to me. They would just sit next to the rose plant, smile, talk to the rose plant. By the next day, the rose plant would have dropped its thorns. And I was wondering why my rose plant is not dropping its thorns. Why my rose plant is not dropping its thorns. So I used to go and sit and talk to it. And then one of my mentors had actually told me, hey, remember what Swamiji told? Why don't you just complete any anger which is there inside you, any inner violence that you have, just going, sharing. I used to go do the chanting. I used to go just talk to my rose plant. In 1 week, half of my rose plant has actually my rose plant had like 2 branches. One entire branch had completely dropped off its thorns, and one more branch had its thorns. And then it took me almost like 2-3 weeks till I actually completed, and I spoke to the rose plant, and it's completely dropped its thorns on its own. And after that, I used to tell my rose plant, telling I need heart-shaped petals because I want to offer it in my puja. And the rose plant used to give me flower with heart-shaped petals. When the inner, actually, that is what I understand as what Swamiji has taught us, where literally nature responds to you based on what you are having in your inner space. So I think Dr. Richard was earlier mentioning how it is individual by individual. The individual evolution needs to happen. So that the individual needs to be attended to. That's absolutely what I have as an experience itself. Because when this individual was attended to, it reflected outside. Just one individual, that Swamiji made me drop my anger, drop my violence. Immediately, a plant responded back by shedding its thorns. That is the power that we have as an individual. When an individual decides to change, when an individual transforms his space, nature has to respond, and that is the very law of the cosmos.
Actually, this is what we derive power from. We are not taught win over the others or kill the maximum video games, you are powerful. We are not taught, fight someone and win the argument, you are powerful. But we are taught make everybody around you happy, be blissful around you, create an ambience of non-violence. You are the most powerful, and that is what we derive power from. Because end of the day, everyone strives to feel nice, feel happy, feel powerful, but what makes you feel powerful matters the most. And that is what Swamiji had taught us from the young age over other people. Or we are not taught games, video games where you kill people and feel powerful, how many people, how many lives you killed. No, we are taught power of how many lives around you can you heal, how many lives around you can you transform, how are you able to create an ambience of non-violence around you. And that is the first lesson that we are taught.
I wanted to highlight, Mr. Pitts, thank you so much for sharing your experience. And as Nita Nanda and Nandita were sharing, in Hinduism, we understand that we do not need to destroy anybody to exist. We don't feel threatened by the existence of anybody. And we understand that each one of us in our own uniqueness, we can stand powerfully and contribute and live enlightenment. And so you were sharing in the beginning about this game, King of the Mountain, which actually involves basically, yes, from the cognition of I have to destroy you in order to exist, to have my place,
Right.
which I think there might be technical glitch. In Varnashrama Dharma, every single individual is empowered with a responsibility. And so there's no such thing as king of the mountain, because everyone is empowered in their own responsibility, and understanding that to make the society stable and prosperous, each one has to reach their own peak potential and fulfill the responsibility. So it's also always a democracy. Yes, thank you so much.
You bet.
Well, sorry, Just a fun line that I wanted to add with what Ma Swatantra Priya was sharing, like Mr. John Pitts had shared about the king of the mountain game, right? And I would say, if a bunch of balasins or the Gurukul kids who are given the Vedic education is taught, is got everyone to be in that mountain and exist blissfully, they become the king, right? So that is the non-violent and peaceful existence that we are taught.
I like that.
Actually, I'm actually feeling so excited, delighted, and so insightful to have like both of you in the panel, because like a lot of contemplation is happening as we are sharing with you, because so far it's like the way how things are actually happening outside, like when I say outside, I mean outside the Gurukul, is so different. Like the outside world, the suffering that's happening to what the leaders and thinkers and people like Ji is so beautifully mapping. So it's so delightful. Thank you so much. Thank you once again for joining. And I would just like to add one point over here, like Ma Sutantra Priya was mentioning about this Varnashrama Dharma. In today's society, we have a government, one group of people. And that is why they are having the power to exploit. They are having the power to correct. And end of the day, we all are affected. In the Vedic times, this used to be very different. There are 4 major things that we have as important components where the power needs to be distributed. The decision making, the power itself, money, food. So this is, and knowledge. These are 4 key areas where the power needs to be equally distributed into. We have these 4 only, called as Brahmanas, who used to manage the knowledge dimension of the kingdom. Kshatriyas, the ones, the kings, soldiers, the people who used to manage the power, the power, democracy, that dimension. Third, Vaishyas. Vaishyas were the ones who used to manage the money dimension. They used to control the money. They used to manage and have the power of money. This is how in any kingdom, the powers were equally distributed. I'll give you one example. A doctor. Today, when we get a treatment, whether we are healed or not healed, it's not the doctor might be concerned about it, but that does not directly affect his life. Because already before we get healed, moment we get treated, we are paying the doctor. So what would the doctors wish? Be more and more sick people happening, more and more profit for him. But in the Vedic times, it was different. When anybody is sick, let's say a farmer is sick, he goes to the doctor attends to him, the farmer does not pay money, portion of that food to the doctor as a tribute to him for keeping him healthy. So now what would be the intention of the doctor? To keep the whole society healthy. So there will be a mutual benefit for each other. This is the same, and this is how the whole society is kept stable. And this way, there is no exploitation or corruption that can happen. Everybody is happy because the power is not with one person, but equally distributed.
Actually, this furthering this discussion is so beautiful. And as we're all, Mr. John Pitts, is there anything that you would like to share? Is there anything like you would like to add? Is there anything else that you want to share?
I don't believe so. I really appreciate y'all's comments very much. I think it expanded, needless to say, what I was talking about. Uh, I love the idea of what power is spreading the power to everyone and to be able to be sure that everyone is happy and included in everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. John Fitz. And Dr. Richards, is there anything that you would like to share and you would like to add?
Thank you. Well, first of all, my friend Patrick Henry had to step away, but he asked me to share a message with you, and that was to let all of you know how honored he was to be part of the discussion. And Patrick, who is 81 years old, and who's gone to get his COVID booster shot. That's why he had to leave. Patrick said, my hope in the future is based on the fact that 22-year-old women on the other side of the globe are teaching me how to make peace. Also, the wisdom of the Supreme Pontiff is offered to all, regardless of religion, nationality, and gender. So that's Patrick's thank you. I'd like to add my own. I've learned so much from listening to you, and I'm so inspired by the Kailasa and Vedic principles and the fact that you assembled this panel as part of the UN International Day of Peace. I'd like to thank Mahakathitha Ananda again for inviting me to be part of this. It's been a pleasure. I've learned so much, and we didn't get to talk yet very much about the role of women in peace building, but this panel is a great example of it. And in terms of leadership and power, I would just like to add that it's not merely from positions of political power. In colleges and universities in the United States for the last 20 years, there have been more women enrolling in college than men. There have been more women completing their degrees than men who start out. There have been more women earning higher degrees. They are the leaders of tomorrow, not just in politics, but in all. And I've been so honored to be part of this. And thank you for all that you have taught me. And I wish this organization all the best as it continues to spread this beautiful message of nonviolence and cooperation and development of inner peace, inner light that then radiates to the rest of the world. Thank you.
Actually, really, that message that you had shared of your friend was really touching, and each of your messages are really touching. And I just like to add one thing here. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism he is happened here with this immense knowledge and literally evolutioning. I wouldn't say revolutionizing, I would say evolving all of us and making us, giving us the possibility that at any point that you are in, you have the possibility in you. Even now, you can decide and you can manifest the life that you want without any violence, without any kind. And it was really wonderful to actually listen from each of you from the depth of your experiences. That really spoke a lot. I actually learned a lot in this panel just based on that experience, that depth of the experiences that both Dr. Richard and Mr. Pitts had, and what actually you spoke, and like how the world is actually striving to get to this point, because the world is striving to get to this change. And we would actually love to hear more and more such things from you. And we would be having these kind of panels more. And we would really love to invite you, and would be lovely to even have more guests who are joining here to share such amazing, insightful knowledge to us and making this whole thing so lively. Thank you so much, sir, for both of you for joining this panel.
And We thank all the viewers and everybody else that were watching with us throughout. And here we are on this International Day of Peace. We have a solution, the happening of the nation of Kailasa, where the Supreme Pontiff has beautifully envisioned such non-violent beings, at least 10,000 beings who manifest these extraordinary powers, a complete non-violent, just them sitting and leading is going to create a globe where it is only blissful coexistence without any violence, the best future, and experiencing the greater science of life called Hinduism in our lives. So we thank each and every one of you for tuning in, Priyananda and Manitya Mahakatitananda, for each of you for sharing the stage with us. And we would again like to thank our esteemed guests of today, Dr. Richard and Mr. John Pitts, for joining and sharing your profound experiences and thoughts with us. And the announcement of the Sustainable Development Goals by the UN, there are a lot of special panel discussions and special programs that are coming our way. So we thank all the viewers as well for joining us. And yes, like each and every viewer is awaiting, we are also going to be having the Sundareshwara Paramashiva Bhava Samadhi Darshan. And we will also be announcing about that. But before that, we would like to conclude this special.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nithyananda Paramashiva Padukarpanamastu. Om Nithyanandam. Various different social media platforms and awaiting the darshan of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. We have an announcement for all of you. We are going to be having this darshan starting shortly. And we are today, due to the intense samadhi of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, we are going to be having the alive Sundareshwara Parameshwara Sayuja Samadhi Darshan that will be played. And now we request everyone to kindly sit with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Close your eyes and let us all chant the Mahavakya. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Chant this Mahavakya intensely and sit in a meditative state to receive the darshan.
Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Shivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
பாட்டும் நானே பாவம் நானே பாட்டும் நானே பாவம் நானே பாடும் உன்னை நான் பாட வைத்தேனே பாட்டும் நானே பாவம் நானே பாடும் உன்னை நான் பாட வைத்தேனே பாட்டும் நானே பாவமும் நானே கூட்டும் இசையும் கூட்டின் முறையும் காட்டும் என்னிடம் கதை சொல்ல வந்தாயோ கூட்டும் பாட்டும் நானே பாவமும் நானே பாடும் உன்னை நான் பாட வைத்தேனே பாட்டும் நானே பாவமும் நானே பொருளில் இசையும் நானே அசையும் பொருளில் இசையும் நானே ஆடும் கலையில் நாயகன் நானே அசையும் பொருளில் இசையும் நானே ஆடும் கலையில் நாயகன் நானே எதிலும் இயங்கும் வியக்கும் அடங்கும் உலகே நான் அசைந்தால் அசையும் அகிலமெல்லாமே நான் அசைந்தால் அசையும் அகிலமெல்லாமே அறிவாய் மனிதாவும் ஆணவம் கேரிடா நான் அசைந்தால் அசையும் அகிலமெல்லாமே அறிவாய் மனிதாவும் ஆணவம் பேரிடா ஆடவாயனோடு பாட வந்தவனில் பாடுவாயை இனி மூட வந்ததொரு பாட்டும் நானே பாவமும் நானே பாடும் உன்னை நான் பாட வைத்தேனே பாட்டும் நானே பாவமும் நானே சத்திகம் திகதிகம் திகதி தனி தபதி தனி 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 தப மகரி தமகரி பமகர மகரி மகர झुमक झुमक जन झुमक जन झुमक झुमक दिंधा दिंध आ झुमक झुमक दिंधा इंदा सगरी सरिणी सरिणी ददा दरि दनि दब मामनै हरि पारनी அவன் செய்த விளையாடல்களே அளவாய் அழகு நின்றான் அவன் செய்த விளையாடல்களே அனைவருக்கும் நினைவில் வரும் ஆனந்தம் பொதுவில் தரும் அளவாய் அழகு நின்றான் அவன் செய்த விளையாடல்களே அனைவருக்கும் நினைவில் வரும் ஆனந்தம் பொதுவில் தரும் அளவாய் அழகு நின்றான் சாபம் தவிர்த்து
வெள்ளை யானை சாபம் தீர்த்து இந்திரனின் சாபம் தவிர்த்து வெள்ளை யானை சாபம் தீர்த்து கடம்பவனம் மதுரையானது மதுரையானது. பாண்டியனின் மகனாய் உமாதேவி தடாதகையாய் அவதாரம் செய்து சௌந்தர பாண்டியனை அன்னையை மனம் முடித்து வெள்ளியம்பல திருநடனம் புரிந்து சோதரனுக்கு அன்னமிட்டது அன்னக்குழகன் என்றார். சித்தராய் சித்துகள் புரிந்து கல்யாணைக்கு தந்து யானை அழித்து கால் மாறி ஆடியது. பார்ப்பனமாதுக்கு அனுகிரகம் செய்து வேடம் பழி தீர்த்து சாட்சி சொன்னது மழை நான் மாடக்கூடலாய் வெதியல் பாவம் தீர்த்து மாணவரங்கம் கொய்து சமணரும் நினைவில் வரும் ஆனந்தம் பொதுவில் தரும் மலவாழகன் என்றார். சொர்க்கம் காட்டியது வந்து வழக்குரைத்தது அனைவருக்கும் நினைவில் வரும் ஆனந்தம் புதுவில் வரும் மலவாயழகன் என்றார். விதியில் விறகு சுமந்து சேரனுக்கு திருமுகம் தந்தது. விதியில் விறகு சுமந்து சேரனுக்கு திருமுகம் தந்தது. பாட பத்திரர் பலகை தந்தது பலகை தந்தது. விரலுக்கு இசையில் வெற்றி தந்தது. பன்றிகளுக்கு பால் ஊட்டி வளர்த்தது. பன்னிருவரை மந்திரியாக்கச் செய்தது. கரிக்குருவிக்கு உபதேசம் செய்தது. நாரைக்கு முக்தியை தந்து அருளியது. அரவத்தால் ஆலவாய் காண்பித்தருளியது. அனைவருக்கும் நினைவில் வரும் ஆனந்தம் பொதுவில் தரும் மலவாழகன் என்றார். நரிப்பறியானது பரிநறியானது பிட்டுக்கு மண் சுமந்து நிமித்தியது சமணரை ஆயிரமே சொக்கனின் விளையாடல் இன்னும் ஆயிரம் ஆயிரமே படித்தவர்க்கும் கேட்டவர்க்கும் பல பல பலன் தருமே பல பல பலன் தருமே பல பல பலன் தருமே
அனலாட புனலாட அம்புலியும் ஆட அனலாட புனலாட அம்புலியும் ஆட அருகோடு கொன்றையும் எழிலாக ஆட அருகோடு கொன்றையும் எழிலாக ஆட மழுவாட மானாட மழுவாட மானாட மாமேருவும் மாட புவியாட கணமாட காலனோடு காற்றாட திட்டாட கணமாட காலனோடு காற்றாட திட்டாட களி நடனம் காணறிய காட்சிதனை கண்டோமே களி நடனம் காணறிய காட்சிதனை கண்டோமே உமையாளும் தத்தோம் தகத்தோம் என்றாட உமையாளும் தத்தோம் தகத்தோம் என்றாட தாளமோடு இசை பாட ஆடிய கூத்தனே தாளமோடு இசை பாட ஆடிய கூத்தனே ஆடிய கூத்தனே ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம
Shiva, 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 Shiva. நன்மையை தந்திட நாம் மலர்ந்தோம் இங்கு நாமே உங்கள் எல்லோருக்குள்ளும் தன்மையாயிருக்கும் தயாபர பரமசிவ பரம்பொருள் உயிரோடு உணர்வும் உருகி கண்களில் ஆனந்த கண்ணீர் பெருகி நிறைந்திடும் மனத்தொடு நிம்மதியோடு அமர்ந்திருங்கள். உங்கள் உயிருக்குள் உறைந்திருக்கும் நான் உயிர்த்து மலர்வேன் இப்பொழுது. ஆன்மலிங்கத்தை கொணர்ந்து ஆனந்த கந்தத்தில் தாங்கி நிறை உணர்வோடு அமர்ந்திருங்கள். நிர்விகல்பம் தருவேன். உங்கள் உயிருக்குள் உறைந்திருக்கும் நான் உணர்வாய் மலர்ந்து இருப்பேன். ஓம் ஓம் சிவ 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 சிவ.
எடுகந்தானடி தில்லையிலே எடுகந்தானடி தில்லையிலே அதை பாட வந்தேனவன் எல்லையிலே. எடுகந்தானடி தில்லையிலே அதை பாட வந்தேனவன் எல்லையிலே. இசை பாட திருமுறை கூறிடும் அறநெறி கூட எடுகந்தானடி தில்லையிலே எட்டிலும் மூவரை எழுத வைத்தார் எட்டிலும் மூவரை எழுத வைத்தார் அந்த பாட்டையும் அவனே பாட வைத்தார் நாட்டையும் தமிழையும் பாட வைத்தார் நாட்டையும் தமிழ் வாழ வைத்தான் அவன் நமக்கென்று உள்ளதை வழங்கி விட்டான் நமக்கென்று உள்ளதை வழங்கி விட்டான் ஏடு தந்தானடி தில்லையிலே இல்லை தந்தையும் தாயும் போல் அவன் இருப்பான் ஒரு தந்தையும் தாயும் அவனுக்கில்லை அந்நாள் தொடங்கி நாள் வரையில் அந்நாள் தொடங்கி இருநாள் வரையில் அவனென்று எதுவுமே நடப்பதில்லை அவனென்று எதுவுமே நடப்பதில்லை எடு தந்தானடி தில்லையிலே அப்பரும் சுந்தரரும் அறிந்திடவே அதை செப்பிடும் சோழனில் பெரும் குலமே செப்பிடும் சோழனில் பெரும் குலமே ஏடு தந்தானடி தில்லையிலே ஏடு தந்தானடி தில்லையிலே அதை பாட வந்தேன் அவன் எல்லையிலே இறைவனை நாட இன்னிசை
கருணாகரனே நடராஜா நீலகண்டனே தீன கருணாகரனே நடராஜா நீலகண்டனே தீன கருணாகரனே நடராஜா நீலகண்டனே நின்னருள் புகழ்ந்து பணியும் என்னையும் இறங்கி அருளும் நின்னருள் புகழ்ந்து பணியும் என்னையும் இறங்கி அருளும் மௌன குருவே ஹரனே எனையாண்ட நீலகண்டனே மௌன குருவே ஹரனே எனையாண்ட நீலகண்டனே தீன கருணாகரனே நடராஜா நீலகண்டனே தீன கருணாகரனே நடராஜா நீலகண்டனே ಮೀನಲೋಚನಿ ಮಣಾಳ ತಾಂಡವಮಾಡುಂ ಸಭಾವದೆ மீனலோச்சனி மணாள தாண்டவமாடும் சபாவதே ஞானியர் மனம் விரும்பும் நீலகண்டனே ஞானியர் மனம் விரும்பும் நீலகண்டனே மௌன குருவே மௌன குருவே மௌன குருவே மௌன குருவே மௌன குருவே ஹரனே எனையாண்ட நீலகண்டனே ஆதி அந்தமில்லா ஹரனே அன்பர் உள்ளும் வாழும் பரனே ஆதி அந்தமில்லா ஹரனே ஆதிமதிமேனியனே பரமேஷா நீலகண்டனே மௌன குருவே மௌன குருவே மௌன குருவே மௌன குருவே மௌன குருவே ஹரனே எனையாண்ட நீலகண்டனே தீன கருணாகரனே நடராஜா நீலகண்டனே தீன கருணாகரனே
வேணும் இறைவனே கலாஞான வடிவான அமலனே நடன கலாஞான வடிவான அமலனே கதி தரும் மலர்வா அதனே ஜெகதீசனே ஜெகதீசனே உயிரெல்லாம் நிறைபவனே தேவ தேவ எனையாளும் மாதவமே தயாபரா மகேஸ்வரா அருள் தர வேணும் இறைவனே அன்பினால் குருகி பண்பாடவே நான் அன்பினால் குருகி பண்பாடவே அந்த அப்பரும் சுந்தரரும் நான் அல்லவே கனகாபிஷேகம் செய்வோம் என்றார் உனக்கு காசாசை இல்லை அது நீ தந்ததே கனகாபிஷேகம் செய்வோம் எனது பொருளேது எனது செய்யதேது நீ எல்லாம் உலகம் ஏது மாதவமே தயாபராமகே
கடினம் உமதடிமையே மெத கடினம் ஐயே மெத கடினம் உமதடிமையே மெத கடினம் பொய்யாத பொன்னம்பலத்தையாயிருக்கும் இடம் பொய்யாத பொன்னம்பலத்தையா இருக்கும் இடம் ஐயாந்த மனிதற்கு உய்யாது கண்டு கொள்ளும் கை உமதடிமையே மானாபிமானம் விட்டு தானாகி நின்றவர்க்கு சேனாதிபதி போல ஞானாதிபதி உண்டு. மானாபிமானம் விட்டு தானாகி நின்றவர்க்கு சேனாதிபதி போல ஞானாதிபதி உண்டு. பாருமே கட்டிக்காருமே உள்ளே சேருமே அது போதுமே. பாருமே கட்டிக்காருமே உள்ளே சேருமே அது போதுமே. மெத்த கடிதம் உமதடிமையே மெத்த கடிதம் உமதடிமையே மெத்த கடிதம் உமதடிமையே.
சிவ 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 சிவ. நலன்கள் எல்லாம் பெற்று நல்வாழ்வு வாழ்ந்திட உலகனைத்துக்கும் ஆனந்தத்தொடு பெருவரமும் அளித்தோம். உள்ளத்துள் உறைந்திருக்கும் நாம் உயிர்த்தெழுந்து உங்கள் எல்லோர்க்கும் நன்மை செய்வோம். உண்மை இதுவே. சுந்தரேசந்தரும் பேரருள் வாழ்க வாழ்க ஆனந்தத்தொடு வாழ்வீர்களாக. ஓம். கொரினா பார்வு ததாஸ்து. You will experience your life successfully. Mayadas tatastu. Sarvanya Pitakarta Shivapunya Praptirastu. Dattatreya Tatpurusha Sivam tatastu. Nirvikalpa Samadhi Praptirastu. Om 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 Om. Supriya Maurya tatastu. Parimala Shivaraman tatastu.
मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कार चित्तानि नाहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योम भूमिर्न तेजो न वायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहं.
Shiva. Shiva. ஆன்மலிங்கத்தை சக்தியை உயிர் பெறச் செய்து நாமே உங்கள் எல்லோர்க்குள்ளும் பெரும் நன்மை செய்திடுவோம். ஓம் சிவ சிவ சிவ.
च वायु न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोशः न वा पाणिपादौ न चोपस्थपायु चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 न मे द्वेषरागौ न मे लोभमोहौ मदो नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं. न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदः न यज्ञः अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहं. न मृत्युर्न न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम्
Om Shiva, 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 Shiva. Om Shiva, 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 Shiva.
தூயனவன் சிவகாமத உந்தரினேயனவன் காமம் அகற்றிய தூயனவன் சிவகாமத உந்தரினேயனவன் மாமரி ஓதி செவ்வாயனவன் மணி மந்தேனு ஞானகாயனவன் மாமரி ஓதி செவ்வாயனவன் மணி மந்தேனு ஞானகாயனவன் கல்லை கனிபிக்கும் சுத்தனவன் கல்லை கனிபிக்கும் சுத்தனவன் முடி கங்கை கருளிய கல்லனவன் கல்லை கனிபிக்கும் சுத்தனவன் முடி கங்கை கருளிய கல்லனவன் இல்லை சிதம்பர சித்தனவன் தேவசிங்கமெனூய தங்கமவன் தேவசிங்கமெனூய தங்கமவன் அம்பலத்தாடல் கையனவன் அம்பலத்தாடல் ஐயனவன் அன்பர் அன்பிற்களி தரும் மெய்யனவன் அம்பலத்தாடல் ஐயனவன் அன்பர் அன்பிற்களி தரும் மெய்யனவன் கும்பை முடிக்கணி துயனவன் ஸ்வயம் ஜோதியவன் பரஞ்சோதியவன் முடிக்கணி துயனவன் ஸ்வயம் ஜோதியவன் பரஞ்சோதியவன் ஸ்வயம் ஜோதியவன் பரஞ்சோதியவன் ஜோதியவன் பரஞ்சோதியவன் சிவசங்கரனை பணிந்தாடுவோம் புகழ் பாடுவோம் நிலமே சிவசங்கரனை பணிந்தாடுவோம் புகழ் பாடுவோம் நிலமே புகழ் பாடுவோம் நிலமே அவன் புகழ் பாடுவோம் நிலமே சிவசங்கரனை பணிந்தாடுவோம் புகழ் பாடுவோம் நிலமே புகழ் பாடுவோம் நிலமே அவன் புகழ் பாடுவோம் நிலமே
கலசம் போற்றி போற்றி சுருங்கு முறை அடிமலக்கும் குழல் போற்றி உத்தரிய தொடி தோல் போற்றி கரும் பொருவ சிலை போற்றி கவுனியக்கு சுருங்க கலசம் போற்றி போற்றி சுருங்கு முறை அடிமலக்கும் குழல் போற்றி அரும்பு ஆரணூபுரம் சிலம்பும் அடிகள் போற்றி அழம்பும் இளநகை போற்றி ஆரணூபுரம் சிலம்பும் அடிகள் போற்றி போற்றி சுரும்பு முறை அடிமலர் பூங்குழல் போற்றி
Nithyanandam, Jnanapatati Manual, under the guidance of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. Let's start with the Sadguru Vandanam. Nithyanandam Paramasukhanam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadushnam Tattvamasya Lakshmam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Let's go through the disclaimers. Security measures. No photography, video, audio recording. Important cautions. Please be aware of the important cautions. What is spa manifestation? Let's hear from Bhagavan himself explaining what is spa manifestation.
All the 25 states of consciousness, when they happen in you, due to your chemicals and hormones ups and downs, it is powerlessness. When it happens in you, out of your free will and consciousness, it is powerfulness. That's all. When you fall into sleep, it is powerlessness. When you fall into dream, it is powerlessness. When you decide to dream, it is powerfulness. So I have added the ultimate powerfulness, Turiyatita, in your whole being and doing. Manifest all the powers. Understand, power manifestation is nothing but cognitive shift. It is not work. It is cognitive shift. Understand? It is just cognitive shift. It's not work. Work is a 4-letter word. Power manifestation is cognitive shift. Playing with life. Playing with being alive. Static matter, dynamic activity, strategic existence, all these three has no boundary. You are one with it. You are alive in everything. Everything listens to you. Everything decides as you want.
Bhagavan beautifully said, power manifestation is everything decides as you want. The possibilities that we are. And this is a science of power manifestation because millions have experienced it. And each one of us can experience the subconscious breakthrough. For each of the pramanas, for each of the power manifestation, the pramanas, the evidence are listed here. The Shastra Pramana, the eternal unchangeable truth revealed in the source scriptures, the Vedas and the Agamas, for the power of clairvoyance. Apta Pramana, the experience and the results of the Aptas. Aptas are millions of rishis, munis, ganas, nainamas, alvar, siddhas, yoginis, yogis, all of them are the authority of Hinduism who have manifested all the powers of Paramashiva. Atma Pramana, account of His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, this millennium's avatar's personal experience of power manifestation. Bhagavan's very own Leelas to showcase how the cognitive shift, how the detox really makes him manifest all the powers, the superconscious breakthrough. Shakshi Pramana, the experience of the millions of disciple, devotees, followers all around the world initiated by Bhagavan into the science of power manifestation. Bhagavan beautifully says, whoever comes to the Kailash courtyard, I myself will be there more present and manifest through all of them as reality. Pratyaksha Pramana, the scientific study measuring the effect of being in the enlightened state. Not just the thoughtless space, but each of these powers are scientifically verified. And all these great science is delivered for us who understands Paramashiva is the reality. The science of our manifestation starts with Shastra Pramana. Shastra Pramana, the eternal unchangeable truth revealed in the source scriptures. Shiva Samhita 5.8384 for the power of clairvoyance.
Is taken from the Shiva Samhita 5.83. Jnananya cha pratimam tasya trikala vishayam bhavet dura shrishti dura drishti swechaya kagatam brajet jnananya cha pratimam tasya trikala vishayam bhavet dura shrishti dura drishti swechaya kagatam brajet.
Beautifully, Bhagavan Paramashiva, Sundareshwara Paramashiva, he gets immeasurable experiential knowledge, knows the past, present, future time, have the Drudha Drishti and Dura Shrishti, the power of seeing anything at a distance, and power of the hearing anything at a distance. Even the five senses they can experience at a distance. And the Kagatam, the power of walking on the air or power to speak on any subject, omniscience. All this is a great possibility. Can I do all these things? Can it be possible for me? Absolutely. If millions can experience it, each one of us can experience that. Beautifully, Bhagavan says, how the bird which flies, the person who tries to catch the bird has some small twig attached. And when the bird comes and sits on this twig and the bird becomes topsy-turvy, it starts facing as though it's falling down, but it is catching with his toe. And the bird stays like that, not leaving his toe to the twig, because he thinks if I leave it, I will fall down and die. Will a bird ever fall down and die or flutter and then get the balance and start flying? The fear that we have to lose our identity, that we become nothing, that we will lose all that we know, but actually losing ourselves is how we go to even sleep. We don't lose anything. Bhagavan says sleep is a small death. And we experience it every single day. We don't know whether we are going to wake up, but we still go to sleep. And we actually are very happy about sleeping. Nobody says, I don't want to sleep. I will die. I don't want to do this. Everyone is so happy. And so we are able to understand, but we are not ready to cognize it. The same way the monkeys, Bhagavan says, when it puts the hand to reach out for the sweet which is kept inside place, it gets caught. If it leaves the sweet, it can take out the hand, but it will not leave till the man comes and catches the monkey. The greed that we are, constantly we think outer world is going to fulfill us, outer world is going to save us, outer world is going to do something, add some knowledge to us, all that is a delusion. It doesn't do anything. It only gives us root shock at some point and wakes us up, that telling it is not real. Again and again, when life teaches us, it is very hard. It doesn't know. Like it's a electricity, it doesn't know it's a king or a beggar. It shocks everybody. Same way, the life is so hard, but Bhagavan is so sweet that making us do the power manifestation teaches us that each of these power manifestation, every time you engage in that, it pokes hole in your logic that you are not permanent. This body does not possess you. You possess the body. The body does not say, oh, why did you leave me and go to sleep? And why did you go to the dream? It is perfectly fine whatever you do. Even the day of their death, you leave it and go. It doesn't do anything. It just stays. It is a matter like you have a car. Car does not tell, oh, you have to only use me. It does not say anything. It is a vehicle. That's all. But if the body is not you, then who are you? And what is that composes you? The question we start asking again and again, if we are not the body, we are not the mind, then what are we? And then more and more we start manifesting powers. We recognize we are Paramashiva who is manifesting even this body which is seen at the back of your brain, even the mind which is used to as a processor to get you into different states of consciousness. And if we understand this higher intelligence and more intelligence, that what we are trying to do in the outer world is nothing of use. How the Bhagavan gives example of the wave, where the wave tries to create with the shells and sand a castle and say, I'm going to live here forever, happily ever after, and collects all the crabs, pulls all the crabs and pulls the shells and have a family and have the shells as the security and a big castle. It is going to be going off in few seconds. And that is exactly how our life is. We come into the birth and death again and again, thinking whatever we assume as joy. But understanding, leaving this fear and greed, we can experience same joy without that fear and greed. And that is what Paramashiva says. All the greatest saints, the Pandya, the Janaka, the emperors, lived as emperors, but being in the context, they are conscious sovereignty and they are Paramashiva. Again and again, when you live as Paramashiva, Rama ruled the kingdom for so many years, thousands of years. Krishna lived and even waged a war, and he was in such a trauma that even before he was born, his sisters were killed and he was in a trauma, but nothing affected him. Even as a baby, he touches Yamuna and blesses her because she was raising. All these greatest signs again and again told to us is we can live that beautiful life that you want in the outer world from the context of conscious sovereignty, and much more in beautiful, blissful and auspiciousness and abundance. Here Bhagavan gives us the glimpse of power manifestation, how we can experience that again and again and manifest as reality. Apta Pramana. Apta Pramana, how Krishna, the Mother Earth wanted Krishna to feed him, and Krishna took the dirt and put it in his mouth, and literally it was nectar, not dirt for him. Literally Mother Earth giving the milk. And this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 8, Canto 10. Beautifully it's said how for Yashoda he showed many times the whole universe in his mouth. And whenever she sees, she goes into that oneness with Krishna. But the minute he closes his mouth and cries, she becomes a normal human and starts taking care of the child. What an innocent space. In the cruise, Bhagavan once opened his mouth for Prasanna's kid and he said, I can show you the whole universe. When the kid asked, can you show me, just like Krishna, the whole universe in your mouth? But after asking, he got shy and ran away. The mother started trying to see Bhagwan's mouth, but he said, you have to hold that beautiful space of conscious sovereignty to observe the greatest signs. All this possible for each one of us when we understand the greater reality. Now in the Atma Pramana, Bhagavan speaks about, the audio is little low, the original video. So I'm going to narrate it and then I'm going to play it again where Bhagavan himself narrates it. He says about how Annamalai Swami, who is a Vedanti, who once gave him the butter, and he told the story of how the old lady, a village lady, who churns the butter out of the milk, and she sings the Ribu Gita, and every word of Ribu Gita goes into the butter as she churns, and simply that becomes the butter. So when Annamalai Swami gave him the butter, he experienced for 2.5 days literally Nirvikalpa Samadhi, being in the bliss, just listening to that Ribu Gita in the butter. Whenever we cook, all that whoever is cooking is so important. It goes into the food directly and starts becoming reality for the persons who take it. Here, Bhagavan beautifully says how this lady, a village lady, was able to be in such a oneness space that she could change the butter into Ribu Gita. Bhagavan beautifully narrates.
One day I was just sitting in front of him and looking at his grace. Actually, he's an elderly person. You can never understand the kind of a grace his body radiates. Just with one lion cloth on one small towel, he will be sitting and staring at that Arunachala hill. The samadhi can be seen with the eyes. I can say, looking at the master's form when he is in samadhi is literally like a drinking samadhi through eyes. Drinking samadhi through eyes, that is the word I'll use. Drinking samadhi through eyes. So I was just drinking samadhi through my eyes in front of him. The elderly lady brought little butter that day and he took little and put it in the mouth. And very unexpectedly, he took little and put it in my mouth also. I just took it and he directly fed with his own hand, putting it in my mouth. I just took it and then could not understand. I was staring at him. Why he did this? Because he was not the kind of a person who does this kind of a physically expressing love. He is not that kind of person. Arunagiri Yogeshwara was that kind of person. Hugging or physically feeding, touching through body, showing the love and feeling connection. Arunagiri Yogeshwara was that kind of person. But Annamalai Swami is not that kind of person. He's a kind of a dry Vedanti. No physical gestures to demonstrate love. No physical way of demonstrating love. So I was wondering, what is going on? He himself started telling, hey, in Tamil he said, Ribu Gita kadanchi kondu vara amrutamada idu, means that lady who makes butter, while she is churning, she chants Ribu Gita constantly and makes that butter. Because of that, it has become nectar. Please understand, an ordinary village lady who sells butter and buttermilk and makes her life, when she is able to establish herself in the state of completion, why not we? Annamalai Swami says, while she is churning the milk, in Indian villages they'll keep a big pot and put a spindle called mattu and put a rope and churn. Around 2-3 hours you have to churn, and then the butter will be churned out, and the butter they will collect and put it in a cloth and squeeze to take the water part out, and then it will become a solid butter. They will bring it and sell. He says, she is so sincerely singing the Ribu Gita constantly and churning, now she has become the truth while she is churning. So that butter also has become nectar, filled with the truth. And I really want to tell you, at least next 2.5 days, after that butter gone into my mouth, my body, I was in that samadhi, the same state in which Annamalai Swamigal was.
Beautifully, Bhagavan says how the butter went into his body, just brought him to samadhi, just eating butter. What a greatest blessing. Nothing else. You be in samadhi, just eating butter. Wow. That is the greatest gift. But the context of the butter is the Ribu Gita, which is the butter itself, the highest reality. All the saints used to put the kids to sleep, telling, hey, you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are Paramashiva, and put them to sleep. And that is how the Balasans every day sing and chant, and then they wish each other Abhyam Sarobodebhyo. That means you unlock yourself into that beautiful space, how you put on the tent and then you close all the tent. Like that in your life, you create all the characters. In how you do it in the dream, exactly you create right now also. Bhagavan says there's no difference between the dream and now. You still don't know who you are, so you are dreaming. So, whatever, whoever, and whatever things we are projecting in our life is nothing but a dream. Then, how can others see in the dream? Even in your dream, others are there. And you said the same questions, what you have right now. You say the same thing. When you come back from the dream, you again come to the same state. Yes, in your dream also, you went to deep sleep and dream, deep sleep and dream. You asked the same question, and you came back and you had the same dream. So all this, we think what is longer should be the reality. But then if that is true, we should only go for the eternal longer one. This is still not the longer one. What we experience, Bhagavan says, is the longest, eternal, immortal, self-effulgent, omniscience. All that is how we exist. And then we should hold that as our cognition, that we are Paramashiva. But we hold on to this dream. The same material what you're making in the dream, all the projection you're making in this also. Each one has their perception reality, which they are projecting and they are perceiving. But dropping all that identity, the questions and everything the mind is creating, simply understanding you are Paramashiva, simply like the butter out of the milk which has become the curd, you will understand the essence of who you are. And here we have Shammai, who is explaining how she did not get the taste initially, but after that she felt completely nectar many a times, and whenever she tasted anything, it was tasting like nectar, and literally her whole body was experiencing the nectar. Each one of us is going to taste today, but not our liquid, what we have in front of us, that we can, but at a distance. You can call your friends, family, and tell them now you're going to see or taste what they are eating, and clearly not the regular food, but also the things which are very unique. You're going to tell them what they ate today by just experiencing the taste of the food. And really beautiful that we can all understand that we are all connected, and simply the whole science starts manifesting in us. Bhagavan says, as a child, when the child is grown with a Gurukula where they take care of the cows, the body simply starts having the high senses. The senses become very pure. Like, for example, if you're not able to smell the sand right now without the rain falling, the first rain falls on the mud, you smell because of the bacteria, you say, but actually we can smell that even now. Same way our eyes can see in the dark and read in the dark, and same way we are, when our body is there near the goshalas, Bhagavan says they get rid of asthma, especially small children. Now big actor and actress are posting that they are taking the cow urine for their therapy as for COVID, which is literally the greatest signs that all that gods and goddesses are there in the cow, generating the best place for the kids to grow. The Goshala, the temple, Adi Kailash, is the greatest gift Bhagavan has given for each of the human to evolve into superconscious being. Here, our senses, again, we are going to get back our senses by manifesting these powers every single day. How you do puja, how you do yoga. When you do power manifestation, it pokes hole in your logic and makes you understand, hey, you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are the superconsciousness who's residing and using this body, using this mind for your purposes, and not get engaged with all that outer world, but still be in the bliss, experiencing the outer world, the very purpose why you have come down to enjoy everything. Here you can sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Bring Sundareshwara, Paramashiva, just the darshan, the beautiful darshan, the gorgeous darshan, all the blessing, all the powerful cognitions, and intense compassion for each one of them, meticulously caring and blessing each one of them. All that, bring it to your third eye. Smarnatma Mukti Arunachala. That which you cannot remember, that which you cannot forget, but that which remembers you. Who is that? Start inquiring. An absolute unclutching from this world. Like you want to go to sleep, you cannot read a book and sleep. You have to close the book. You have to close the tab. Same way, you have to drop your thoughts, engagement with the thoughts. Thoughts keep happening. That is nothing wrong, but don't engage in that. Don't make a statement out of that. Don't listen to that. And look at it. The more and more you look at it, it disappears. Bhagavan beautifully says, Buddha told one of the disciples who was saying, I cannot stop my thoughts. It's too much of a random. But every night we are doing that when we go to sleep. So when he said that, he said, okay, go get me water from this particular pond. And when he went, he saw lots of buffalo in the pond and it's so dirty. So he had to wait a long time for the buffaloes to go and then settle down. Once it's settled down, he goes and takes the water. Again, it's mishy. It's all mixed up. Again, he has to wait and watch the water. When he watches, it all settles down. That is how our mind is. He never got the water to Buddha, but he understood what Buddha said. You just have to watch, be alive, awake. That is why you sit as 25 heads and 75 eyes and 50 hands, being alive and just watch your thoughts and chant the Mahavakya. And with the deep listening, entangling with Bhagavan in the quantum space, you suddenly fall into the beautiful space of oneness and experience the oneness with Paramashiva, manifesting the powers of Paramashiva. Again and again, when you do this, you will start experiencing the higher dimension, who you are. You are Paramashiva, you are Parashakti, you are Sundareshwara, or Kalabhairava. You are sitting there, absolutely chosen one to be manifesting the powers of Paramashiva. So sit with 25 heads and 75 eyes and 50 hands and chant the Mahavakya with a deep gratitude and surrender all your identities. Do not hold your identity as Paramashiva, but Paramashiva who has experienced this identity. That's only thing that you understand, that you are Paramashiva, recognizing your Paramashiva. Bhagavan calls it recognizing your identity to Paramashiva's identity. You start manifesting all the reality. Let's start chanting to experience the power of clairvoyance. Few minutes of meditation can manifest so much of auspiciousness. Let's start chanting with a deep listening. It need not be loud. It has to be from your navel center. Deeply, when you deeply breathe, you will not have thoughts. So to bring you to the thoughtless space and raise your frequency, you're chanting your Mahavakya. And that is the key to manifest and beautifully merge into Paramashiva's lotus feet and manifest all the powers of Paramashiva. Let's start the power of clairvoyance, identifying the taste at a distance.
नित्यानन्द परमशिवोऽहम् ॐ नित्यानन्द परमशिवोऽहम् ॐ नित्यानन्द परमशिवोऽहम् ॐ नित्यानन्द परमशिवोऽहम् ॐ नित्यानन्द परमशिवोऽहम् Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amritapur, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. 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 Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amritapur, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivam.
Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om 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 Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. 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 Nithyananda.
Beautiful, the first cycle. Whatever taste you have experienced, please go ahead and call the other person and ask them the detail and authentically write down the detail and take a screenshot that you can share with the world. All these great signs, how it exactly coincides, it's not coincidence. Nothing is coincidence, it's your perception. If you are able to perceive you are Paramashiva, you have broken that very perception itself. When you understand that everything is connected, now they say neuroplasticity and mirror neurons and the quantum reality, quantum entanglement. But Bhagwan has beautifully given us in a simple words that everything that exists is Paramashiva and that everything that is happening as Para Shakti. And simply your will persistence can manifest the reality as you want. When you understand this higher science, how you exist, like the wave gets to know it's an ocean, it is not just a wave. It can manifest any number of wave and do any number of castle and any number of things without the insecurity or the greed. If you know, for simple example, you are the owner of the factory, of a chocolate factory, you can change the chocolate into any way, you can have as many as you want, you will not lose out of the job, nothing is going to happen. You know you are the owner. Same way, when you know you are Paramashiva, you know nothing can be lost. You are the whole, you are Napurnatva, nothing can be taken from you, then you cannot be absolute. Absolute means nothing that can be taken out. Life is not hypocrite, life is no hypocrisy, Bhagavan says. It is complete and it is a whole. If you recognize that, like how you wake up from your dream, even the worst accidents and worst things that you have lost, you come back to the reality. You know that you are just there without anything. You don't run to a hospital, you don't run and try to fix anything. You know that was just not real. Same way, we see all even dead people in our dream. So you know they exist. You know you exist. Only thing you recognizing that is the way you exist and not engage with the identities that you carry. When you withdraw from your identities, just by detoxing your body, the more and more you detox your body, the reactionary assumption settles down. Bhagavan says 6 months taking the castor oil will make you understand that there is no reaction at all happening. It was the parasite was jumping in your head. Now they say science, the gut bacteria runs your brain 90%. If it is running 90%, then where am I? The only thing helps us by detoxing. And now the science is telling us that if we do fasting and take a cold water bath when you are in a survival mode, we are expanding our life. The same thing when Bhagavan says, do the kumbhaka, trineta kumbhaka, taking 3 times the oxygen, the prana, and pushing out the carbon dioxide. simply makes you live longer. The pranayama does that. Bhagavan says, Achapa Japa, which puts you into the highest reality. Again, the science is now finding out that when you chant the Om, it's simply the infinity symbol which is there. All this science is trying to catch up, which Bhagavan has given the simple changes in our lifestyle. Living the way Bhagavan says, Guruvak is the ultimate. When you start living all this detox program and the simple things, that simple integrity, simple obedience, we can manifest huge reality. We ask for our health, our wellness, our family wellness, all that, forgetting in the dream how much ever you ask is not going to happen, but how much ever you recognize your space, you can manifest. It is you who is to manifest. It can be, life is a big tatastu, it gives a blessing, but who is to receive and manifest? Like you are a huge station. You can receive it when you tune your station to the highest cosmic station and receive the whole input. But you have to switch on and download the app and get it ready for the whole channel to download in your space. The same way how Bhagavan is giving us all tatastu for all our problems, but we have to take the responsibility to detox ourselves and start manifesting the powers of Paramashiva, start engaging ourselves into the inquiry that Paramashiva is our original space. Then who is that? Who's now experiencing all this? When we start living and sharing as Paramashiva, we will recognize it. Because it is a mind, it has to recognize again and again doing it. Only then it recognizes what you're searching for. If you're searching for something outside, when something inside you have lost, you can never get it. That is what Bhagavan says. By manifesting power, more and more you are raised to the higher frequency to recognize your Paramashiva space. Now let's chant the Mahavakya continuously and with a deep listening to manifest the power of clairvoyance. We can have the same person or call up a different person, and we'll tell them that we are going to identify the taste of what they are having as their meal. So let's start chanting the Mahavakya to experience this beautiful space of oneness with Paramashiva.
Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda 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 Paramashivoham.